What's good, everybody? My name is Manny from Manny's Content. Finally, after like a year, I'm back. But it's alright, because we about to get this rolling. My first guest in over a year, Mr. Steady Cam, Red Carpet, AD, Shala. How you doing, bro?
You're good, man. Good to be out here in the middle of Arizona with my brothers,
It's
my
brick.
sister-in-law, my niece.
It's brick.
My girl's about to pull up. Just family time and just connecting with my loved ones, man. It feels good.
I appreciate you for coming outside with me, even though it's brick.
You live in New York, B. This ain't
Fake ain't nothing, you know? But yeah, man. So, like I said, thank you again for being here. Thank you again for pulling up. We needed you. Even though I wasn't here last year. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that one. You know?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, good. If you don't know, I don't know. But anyway, we're about to start this off. So, how have you been doing mentally, emotionally? Because I like to just kind of start off interviews just asking people these things just so we can just, get everything going. Icebreaker type thing.
It's a good question. I think in general, in a lot of ways, I'm in the best mental space I've been in a long time, which really in my entire life. So yeah, overall really good. There's moments, there's ebbs and flows with that, depending on like what's going on, like in my career or like personal life, relationship and shit. So it's always adjusting, and I'm always like checking in with myself on a regular, communicating as best as I can, even when I'm not feeling on a particular day like in the best headspace or best mental state. But overall, yeah, I think really good. How about you?
Me, I'm good, man. You know, been a lot of changes. Obviously, change is inevitable. Whether you like it or not, it's gonna happen. So I'm just learning how to cope with them. I'm learning how to, just. I'm not gonna say go with the flow, but just learn how to adapt. I guess that kind of it's kind of the same in a way, but I'm just trying to make sure I'm good and everybody around me is good because when change comes, you have to adapt with the change. So
No doubt.
you feel me?
The only thing constant is change.
Right. So I mentioned all your monikers, Steady Cam, Red Carpet. Uh, so my question to you right now is, which one is your favorite moniker?
I mean, well, you said Steadicam, but it's Steady Shola technically, Steady Shala.
You're right. You're right.
I mean, that's my favorite just because that's where I'm at right now and that's like what my focus is. But
You ain't feeling no red carpet right now.
no, but that's the thing. Like, Steady Shola is my favorite one right now because it's where I'm at right now. But
Okay.
Red Carpet Ade is like it lives on in my heart. It's just not my social media handle anymore. But it's always Red Carpet Ade because no matter what I do, I'm on my red carpet shit. Like I just do it on that level. So
Oh my
it's
God.
always Red Carpet Ade, but Steady Shola is the focus right now.
Would you say that's like just two different parts of your life, two separate,
No, they overlap.
Okay.
It's still Red Carpet Ade. Steady Shoulder is just the focus right now. Red
Okay.
Carpet is still here. Like, it was a choice to change my handle because that's what my focus is. So I'm
Okay.
making sure that people know my intention
Right.
in this current thing. But Red Carpet Ade, Steady Shoulder is more of what I'm doing. Red Carpet Ade is like a way that I am.
Bars. Okay. Okay. You gonna hear this guy just drop mad gems and bars throughout this. So just get ready. So moving on, why did you choose this field of entertainment, when it comes to working steady cam and camera operating? Because you were in college for journalism, right?
Yeah, but yes, and I was in college for journalism, and all my best friends and roommates in college were film and TV students. So I always make the joke that I unofficially minored in film.
Okay.
because I would help them with their film projects. I would act in their shit. I would help them shoot their stuff. I would help them with their music videos and stuff. And if we be in the crib watching movies together, we're talking about the cinematography, the editing, the choice of why a director showed this thing and didn't show this thing, and the camera movement in particular.
Right.
To kind of more specifically answer your question, like during that period of like going to Savannah College of Art and Design and being around these filmmakers and like learning more about filmmaking, of all the movies I had ever seen in my life up until university, like there would be some times where I'd be aware of this is a crew or like a director that had a vision, and this is an intentional, like what we're seeing on the screen is intentional. Like I think, to be more specific, we're like watching Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction for the first time in like 10th grade. Like I got my fucking mind blown because like the order in which chronologically he tells that story is so out of whack and unorthodox, but it fucking works and it's like brilliant. And I think that was the first time that I ever thought like, oh, this is a person who made a creative decision on how he was gonna tell this story, and it's fucking unusual, and it affected me because it's so not cookie cutter in terms of like commercial blockbuster filmmaking shit. But it wasn't until being in art school and like being really good friends with film kids and like learning more about filmmaking and watching shit with them with that lens of like breaking down why we are being told the story the way we're being told, that I started to like see more and more how certain decisions influence how the story affects you. And I think for me, the first time I watched Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange was the first time that like I saw camera movement so intentional that it really stood out to me, partially because I had that lens now of talking to film kids and being able to like articulate why a certain feeling is hitting me based off of how the camera's moving or the lighting or the editing choices. But like that was when it started to happen for me. So I would say that because of proximity to filmmakers and learning more about filmmaking, something that wasn't a concept to me growing up, because like some more privileged kids have connections in the industry when they're young and they learn about it through that, or they just know, oh, my family can pay for me to go to film school or whatever. That wasn't even like a concept to me.
Okay.
But the route that I wound up going led me to be in a position to be around kids that did that, and I got to learn from them. So in a very like long-winded way, it's just like, it's really just because I found my own path, and my path led me to be around filmmakers that it started to become an option for me.
Okay.
And there's certain people, like I mentioned, like Stanley Kubrick with A Clockwork Orange, like that was the first time I saw camera movement that affected me like in a big way, and I could actually articulate why. Like the opening shot is of this main character in what is the location of a milk bar in this particular film. If you don't know what the movie is, then a milk bar just sounds stupid, but like it's in a very like unique psychedelic location, and we start on the main character, and it's like a medium close-up shot, and the camera pulls back slowly. It's a dolly shot, which growing up I wouldn't know what the fuck that meant, but I'm around filmmakers at this time, so I learned about this shit. I knew what it was, but the camera's slowly pulling back. It's not a zoom. It's not like the camera zooming out, but it has a similar effect of you start to see more of the environment. So the camera's slowly pulling back in a medium close to this character, and he's looking dead down the lens, straight at the audience. And you're just like, it's a very like jarring but hypnotizing because of the music, the score. It's a very jarring but like hypnotic way to start the film, and the camera's slowly moving back, and it starts to reveal that he's with his homies, and they're just like, it's like their little gang in this milk bar, and they're just like looking right at you, and it's wild. Camera's slowly still moving back this whole time, steady pace, like slow. You start to see there's more people in the milk bar just kind of like hanging out and shit, and there's like these white porcelain statues with like colorful wigs on and shit, and the camera's still pulling back and it's revealing all this shit, and slowly you start to see this whole space of this like psychedelic environment with porcelain statues and people in these unique wardrobes and shit, and this music is like just like symphonic, like trippy ass shit. And that was just like the most powerful film opening I had seen up until that point in my life. And it was like, oh, this is a filmmaker making a unique decision because they want to bring you into this world and pull you in. And that was for me when I realized that I love camera movement and like intentional use of how to move a camera.
So would you say that's your favorite part of being a Steadicam operator? Is getting to have people like bring people in, to like see exactly by the movements of the camera, for them to see what you're doing or try to get a visual perception of what you're doing in a way.
Yes, and I mean, now we're talking about camera operating.
Yeah.
It's not versus Steadicam, but Steadicam is a very particular type of camera operating.
Okay.
I'm speaking more to camera movement and camera operating at large. And you're asking me about, I'm just saying this for the record. And then you're asking me about Steadicam, which is a very particular style of camera operating.
Okay.
So I'll answer it for both. But yeah, I like that aspect of like Steadicam operating and like bringing the viewer in or making them feel immersed in the scene. And also, when Steadicam is done well, the viewer won't even necessarily recognize this is a Steadicam shot. So the idea is not to be so flamboyant in camera movement or so like, oh, this is great Steadicam, that the audience is not thinking about the story that they're supposed to be watching, and they're thinking more like, oh, this is a cool Steadicam shot. If you're thinking about, oh, this is a cool Steadicam shot without having the trained eye to know a Steadicam, and that's just why you know, then it's like, I've shown off too much.
Okay.
And it's taking you out of the story and making you think more about the cool camera op. Unless you're somebody who does it or knows a lot about filmmaking and that's why you see it, then that's fine. But if it's more so that you're just like, oh, this is really cool camera movement, but you're not focusing on the story, then it's not. Then I'm not serving the story, and I'm just doing my job in a really like pretty way, which is cool. But I don't want that to be the thing you focus on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, and you said you were in Savannah because you went to college in Savannah, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You were also living in Florida. And also the
Prior to that,
yeah. There was also a point in time you was living in New York, right? So out of all those, let's say 3 places you were in, which state, I guess, being in impacted you the most in your life?
I mean, I'm biased. I think being born in New York and living in New York till I was 12 influenced me enough on a fundamental level that when I moved to Florida when I was 12, I held on, especially because culturally I identify more as a New Yorker and with being from New York than Florida. So I held on to like all my style influences from New York and like shit that I knew about hip hop and like being a part of like hip hop culture from New York. Like when I moved to Florida, everybody knew me as the kid who was from New York.
Okay.
And like I was a trendsetter in a lot of ways, and there were other people from New York too that I knew in like high school and shit. Like I was one of those kids that everybody just knew like had like dope style and shit because he was from New York, or like knew a lot about hip hop and music because I'm from New York and shit. So I think just overall being from New York to this day, like New Yorkers could tell that I'm from New York, but I lived somewhere else, and people who aren't from New York always just know that I'm from New York.
It'd be like that.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. So I think New York without a doubt, but Savannah is a runner-up because it was in Savannah after being in Florida for like 8 years and finally getting out of Florida because I have a love-hate relationship with. I never wanted to move to Florida, so I was just like there reluctantly the whole time, I would say. But
Okay.
It was when I moved to Savannah and finally got out of Florida, and also being in Savannah around like creative kids and like filmmakers and shit, that I started to like come into my own as an adult, but also as somebody who wanted a career in the arts and journalism and filmmaking and shit. So I think Savannah influenced me a lot in terms of the people I was around, and like most of the shit that I've been able to do after college, like in my career, whether it was in journalism and music blogging or if it was in film and TV, like it was because I met the people that I met in college and shit, and those years in Savannah were some of the best years of my life, like, without a doubt. So I think Savannah is a close runner-up or equally as influential, just in a shorter amount of time.
Okay. And so before we talked about journalism, right? So in what ways did journalism, I would say, how did it help your passion today?
I How did journalism help my passion?
Or did it like get you to a point where you feel like, you know, if I didn't take this route, maybe I wouldn't be here?
Yeah, if I didn't pursue journalism, then I wouldn't have gone to Savannah College of Art and Design, and I wouldn't have been around the filmmakers I was, so I wouldn't technically be doing anything that I'm doing now. Or just picking, because I didn't plan on going to college. I didn't have like I would say I was directionless, like even in high school, but post high school until my mom very gracefully encouraged me to go to community college because she knows I'm rebellious and shit. So the way she approached me about it, she wasn't a typical Nigerian mom about it when she could have been. She could have snapped on me and been like, "You need to be going to college," or
You better go to
yeah,
college.
type shit. But because she was like, you know, hey, why don't you go to Edison Community College and take some classes and see how you like it? Because she said it like that, I was like, bet. So if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have just gone to college in the first place. And then through being there, you know, and through a professor who saw my potential in writing and asked me to take her creative writing class. Like I think I was like one of 8 kids that she asked to take her first creative writing class that was ever offered at that school by any teacher.
Did you see a since she told you that like she sees something in you with creative writing? Did you like I don't know? Did you ever see yourself in a way like that, or like is that something you had to express yourself in a way that you didn't know about till she told you?
Yeah, it wasn't until because she pulled me aside pretty much in the middle of a class and like she was like, hey, I'm teaching this creative writing class next semester, you should take it. And I was like, why is she saying this shit to me in a class full of other people?
Right.
So it was the way she went about it, same but different as like with my mom,
Yeah.
lightly nudging me. The way that this lady who had no reason to go out of her way like that, like I was like, she must clearly see something. So I took heed, and I thought about it, and I recognized that like I had always got like good grades in like English, language arts classes and shit. I did pretty good at writing essays or whatever, but I just thought that was like a basic thing. Like I didn't think everybody was good at it, but I just felt like it was something that you're supposed to be decent at. So because she did that, I thought about it and I was like, oh shit, like, you know, my 10th grade teacher, Mr. Romano, in the middle of class, like opening period, first period, 10th grade, at one point, he was like, same kind of deal, like came up to me in the middle of like everybody being in class and was like, hey, I've been working on this short story, can you read it and like tell me what you think? And I was like, I don't know, I was like some New York kid in Florida listening to Nas and shit, like why is this nigga asking me to listen to me? I messaged him recently still like thanking him about that. Yeah, it just made me think about it, like, and I was like, oh, I was always good at this kind of thing. So it was through, I think that's the important thing I think that's a huge impact that teachers have on kids is like every once in a while you have most people have a teacher that did something that made them see their own potential or like encouraged them to pursue something that they probably just didn't think was a big deal. So for me, Maria Cahill asking me to take her creative writing class was a huge deal because then it made me think about all the times that I had done well in writing and whatever, had journals where I'd copy rap lyrics or whatever. I would journal shit and write shit too. But I think I answered your question.
I don't know how much you want to get into this, but you're currently on tour, in a way, right? I don't know how much you want to give away with that.
I just rapped. I mean, it's an open conversation.
Okay.
You can just say whatever. But I rapped. I was on tour with Kendrick Lamar up until a few weeks ago. Yeah.
And that's one of your favorite artists.
Yeah, since 2010, the end of 2009, beginning of 2010, when one of my homies in Florida, my boy Andre DeSaint.
I was about to say 3,000.
Nah,
Sorry.
It's Andre 2 stacks, not 3 stacks.
Okay.
No disrespect, Dre. When my boy Andre DeSaint, he had put me on to Kendrick Lamar because Kendrick had just dropped, I think it was called Look Out for Detox, but it was a video where he's just rapping his ass off and he's pretty much like, you know, highlighting his connection with Dr. Dre because at that point Dre still never dropped Detox. I remember being impressed with Kendrick's flow and shit, and because of that I had wound up, he dropped overly dedicated around that time, and I've pretty much been a Kendrick fan ever since.
So, what is your favorite Kendrick album? Knowing that he doesn't really drop much, like, what would you say is your favorite album of his?
To Pimp a Butterfly, if I have to pick, because of I think there's a lot of personal significance for me, but there's a lot of cultural significance, and like the significance of him having the success he did with his first major album with Good Kid, Mad City, even though Section 80 is technically an album, mixtape album. Good Kid, Mad City is his proper label debut, if you will. So, to me, To Pimp a Butterfly, after making Good Kid, Mad City, and him like, having this experience with going to South Africa for the first time, and like having this experience in Africa where he confronted like South African apartheid, to be more specific, and like race relations in Africa, gang relations in Africa, relating it back to being back home in Compton and like the gang relations there, but also just like, having the success he did with the first album, and then deciding to go that route with his second album where he's like soul searching to a certain degree. And so just so much of the energy on that album to me is like, it's really important. And I think if I have to pick, it's To Pimp a Butterfly, but I still love Good Kid, Mad City for a lot of reasons now.
You how was your experience just being on tour with Kendrick, knowing like that's one of your favorite artists?
It was a bit unreal. It was like, a dream come true to do what I love to do, get paid to do what I love to do. To like, I work on a lot of shit, and a lot of the times I'm not working on something that I'm like, I do commercial stuff, I do music video, I do all types of stuff, and it's not every day that I'm working on something for someone that I like greatly admire or like really appreciate as a human and as an artist, as a cultural figure. So it was an honor to do what I love to do, to get paid to do it, to travel and get flown out in different cities, different countries, put up in hotels and shit, and do something for one of my favorite artists.
When it comes down to it, if you can wrap up your whole, let's say, your life so far in just either one sentence or one word, how would you describe it? You got him thinking here, ladies and gentlemen.
It's been an honor.
Type shit. Type shit. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually a great response because I don't even think people would say stuff like that. Like they would probably be like, it's been fun, or it's been exciting, or looking forward to what's next. But you said it's been an honor. To me, that means it's like I've gone through so much, and like I've got to see and got to do a lot of things, and just like I have no regrets. Like it's been an honor. Am I right about that?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. So, closing down. Thank you again for just sitting in the cold with me doing this. If there's been anyone out there that actually wants to become a Steadicam operator, or just work behind the scenes in that sort of function, but they are having trouble, like having that self-confidence to actually being able to know how to do it or how to get there, what are some advice you would give them?
Well, I'm a camera operator and a Steadicam operator. It's important to make that distinction because, like, there's just general conventional camera operating, and Steadicam is a very niche part of that. So
Right.
if someone's particularly wanting to know how to be a Steadicam operator versus just all around camera operator,
Yeah.
and they want to know how to do that.
Like they just want to know, like, how do I get there, or what do I have to do to start, or or if there's anybody that's doing it but they want to give up because they feel they're not doing good, like
Well, with Steadicam, you got to keep on doing it to do it well. I mean, I know Steadicam operators of 10 plus years who still practice every day when they can, or all the time when they're not working, because it's a hard thing to do. It's physically taxing. It's a physical job, a creative job, and a technical job. And there's so many things happening at once, and like, you're only gonna get better the more you do it. So I mean, I know Steadicam operators 20 plus years who are, always talking about how long it took to get great at it. So if there's someone who already does it and they feel discouraged because they're not good, or they're being told they're not good, it's like, keep doing it. If you love it, keep doing it. Don't stop doing it. It's when you stop doing it that you don't get better, because you
Right.
stopped. If you're trying to figure out how to do it or get into it, talk to Steadicam operators who are already doing it. Shadow them. Ask if you can try on their rig. Get the Steadicam operators handbook on Amazon or online, wherever. Just study the craft. Watch your favorite Steadicam shots in movies and TV shows, and see what the actual storytelling behind that informs, like, the Steadicam operating is. Learn what makes a good Steadicam shot. Just study the craft, and just fucking do it. Find a way to do it. If you don't have a rig, which is a very common thing, it's a very expensive craft to get into, then yeah, be around other Steadicam operators. Go to Steadicam group practices if you can, and use other Steadicam operators' rigs, and just immerse yourself in the craft as much as you can.
Word from the wise. Yo, where can people find you on social media?
Steadishola, Steady, SteadyIshola on Instagram. Holla at your boy.
Yo, I appreciate it, man. It's been an honor.
See what you did there.
See what I did there?
The honor's all mine. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, man. Love you, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.